Hi, it's Nicole McGuirk with this week's From Start to Finish video brought to you by 2peasinabucket.com. This week's layout features the design principle of repetition as part of 2P's design school event going on right now. I used repetition of clouds in the pattern paper, in the cloud stamps, and in the cloud punches throughout the layout. The repetition provides for a really cohesive, finished looking design. I'm going to talk a little bit about the supplies used, and then I'll put the layout together. This week, I thought I would go back to talking a little bit about my products and stuff. I have seen several comments where people said they like that, and if you don't, I apologize. I will try to make it quick. I printed several photos in different sizes of my son riding his bike. I have a 5x7 photo, a 3x4, and a couple of 2x3 excuse me, photos. And then for my papers, I picked some of the Lime Twist collection papers from My Mind's Eye. I have this really pretty cloud background, then kind of a reddish orange with polka dots. And then I have this really cute little zigzag orange and white or orange and cream design paper. So I don't have a whole lot of different colors of paper going on there. I might throw in a little bit of craft cardstock as well. I've already pre-printed my journaling on a little piece of craft. Then I die cut a title for my page that comes with these cute little arrows. It has some other little black pieces too. I don't know if I'll use those or not. And it says Going Places. And I chose to cut it out of black cardstock so that it would really pop, since I'm using some really bold and bright papers. Then I die cut this little bicycle die, and this is a Hero Arts design. They coordinate with their, they have several that coordinate with their stamps. I used the little girls dancing a few weeks ago, and I am going to use one of their bicycle stamps. In fact, this die design does come with all three of these, so it just depends on which one you want to use, and I chose to use this one. And then I'll stamp that right here on my pre-cut little die cut shape. So that'll be a cute little accent for my page. And then to coordinate with that, I'm going to use some of the stamps from their new stamp set with Studio Calico called Hooray, and I'm going to use a couple of these little cloud designs. I'm going to stamp those and punch those out with the coordinating Fiskars punches. And then their other Hero Arts other bicycle design stamp set, Joyride, I want to use this little phrase, "Let's go for a ride." And I'll stamp that right there underneath my title for my subtitle. So that's kind of most of the pieces that I'm going to use. I'll probably incorporate a few additional things as I go along. I did pull out some of my favorite Jenny Bolin inks to use on my page. I have the Chicken Feed, which is a really great orange that coordinates nicely with the papers I've chosen. Brown Sugar and Cough Syrup. And then the blues from here didn't exactly match as well as I would have liked, so I pulled out the Pool Party ink from Stampin' Up. I might use some black ink too. It just kind of depends as I get started here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started putting the page together. I'm going to use this cloud background paper for the base of my layout since I'm using such a huge piece of it here. And I'm just going to trim a couple of the other papers that I showed earlier for my design. So I'm not using a lot of different pattern papers this week. I'm keeping it pretty simple. There's quite a bit of other things going on. However, this was a really quick and easy layout, especially for me. A lot of times they take me quite a bit longer than this one. This one was really fast from start to finish. So I'm just going to cut a really thin little border here from this paper. And this gives me somewhere to tuck my larger photos in, and it also divides the page from the top to the bottom. So it gives me a nice place up there in the top left corner for my title and for some embellishment. And then along the bottom of the page, it gives me a good spot for my journaling, a couple of supporting photos, and a couple other small embellishments. So I've already printed out my journaling here on some craft cardstock. And I'm just going to round those two right-hand corners with my 1/4 corner rounder. I think it kind of softens the journaling a little bit. It depends on your layout. I don't always do that. Sometimes I think it's kind of fun, especially when the journaling is coming off of one side of the layout or another. Just kind of is a fun look. So I'll attach my two larger photos here. And I'm just kind of tilting everything today. I'm not doing everything really nice and straight. Every once in a while I like to kind of do a more whimsical design. And then I'll place that little thin strip right there where those two other pattern papers meet. I'm going to attach my journaling. And before I do so, I'm going to make sure that I have my photo placement for those two 2x3 photos so that my journaling doesn't cover those up at all. And I am going to fold over the end of my journaling just a little bit. That gives me a nice place to add a staple or sew it in place or whatever. I'm just going to staple mine in place, but it gives you just a nice little spot to add a little embellishment. Again, I'm going to adhere these photos so that they're hanging off of the bottom of the page a little bit. They're not straight on, and I'll just trim that excess off when I'm finished putting the page together. Next, I'm going to grab my die cuts that I've already pre-die cut here. I die cut everything out of black cardstock. I am going to cut the title again out of some pattern paper, but I want to just lay it all out and make sure everything works together. Now, there you can see the bicycle die cut, and it is exactly sized to work with the coordinating Hero Arts stamp. So what I'm going to do is take the Stamp-A-Majig. Because I'm using a cling stamp, a rubber stamp, and I can't see through it like you can a clear stamp to see exactly where you're stamping, I like to use the Stamp-A-Majig so that I make sure and get exact placement of my stamped image. Since I've gone through the work of die cutting it already, I don't want to have to do it again. So I'll just ink that up with some red ink and stamp it right there. I originally thought I would use the cough syrup ink from Jenny Bolin, but the ink was a little bit darker than I wanted, the red, so I went with Pure Poppy ink from Stampin' Up. It was just a little bit more, I would say, orangey red, which coordinates with the other elements I'm using in my design better. So I've lined it up, and I did put a little adhesive behind my die cut so it doesn't scoot around at all when I lift up that plastic sheet that comes with the Stamp-A-Majig. And then I'll stamp that down, and you can see how cute that looks. So you have your own custom stamped die cut. I'm gonna pop that up there, make sure I like where that goes. And I'm just moving, I like to move things around a little bit, so I haven't attached anything quite yet. Now I am going to take the rest of my white cardstock here, and I cut out those the bicycle from some Neenah Solar White cardstock. It's just a nice smooth cardstock that gives you a really nice smooth surface for stamping. So now I'm going to ink up these cute little cloud stamps from Hero Arts and Studio Calico. These are they're from a new stamp set called Hooray. So you can see that cloud on the top is the cough syrup ink from Jenny Bolin, and the one below it is the Pure Poppy ink from Stampin' Up, and it's just a little bit brighter red. So there I'm stamping a couple other clouds, and then I realized I really should stamp them near the edge so that they're easier to punch out. So I'm going to redo them real quick. And I just stamped several different ones using different colors. The wood grain one is out of the Pool Party Stampin' Up ink, and so is that little polka dot one that I just stamped. The orange is the chicken feed color of Jenny Bolin ink, which is a really great orange color. I really like that orange. And then you can see I'm just taking the Fiskars Cloud Punch that coordinates perfectly with these and punching those right out. So you have your own stamped die, punched die cuts here. Really quick and easy to do, and you can do them in any color and make as many of these as you want. You would never run out. I love that. And these are ones that I use a lot. In fact, I got questions, a lot of questions here a couple weeks ago when I did a layout where I used clouds, and they were something from Studio Calico that was just a limited edition type stamp. And so I was so excited when I found out that Hero Arts and Studio Calico were teaming up to create these. Here I'm going to re-stamp. When I die cut the bicycle, I had a feeling, sometimes I do that, I just go ahead and die cut several at one time. That way if I mess up, I can just throw the other one away and start over. So I did go ahead and stamp that with the Pure Poppy ink, which I like a lot better. I'm going to take this little phrase stamp from another Hero Arts stamp set called Joyride, and it's another stamp set that has lots of little bicycles and things on it, really cute, and it has this little phrase that says "Let's go for a ride," and I thought that that would make a really nice subtitle underneath my title. So I'm just going to ink that up with some Black Memories ink. I kind of thought I would use the brown ink from Jenny Bolin on my layout, but I really didn't like it once I got to thinking about it, since I have so many other black accents on the page, so I ended up not using that ink. No big deal, I just put it back away. So I'm kind of just putting all my elements in place, about ready to put it all together. Now, here are a couple more of those little clouds, and I'm going to place those at the bottom of the page. This just helps with the repetition. It brings all those clouds from the top part of the page down to the bottom. And it kind of also clusters your embellishments with your photos and the journaling block and everything. I'll add a couple of additional little stickers to those clouds to finish those off here in a little bit. And I'm going to staple my journaling in place now. Just gives that journaling block a finished look. Now I can go ahead and start adhering all of my little die cut pieces and things. And I'll speed through this so it's not quite so long to watch. I did lift up that little corner of the photo and place part of that die cut behind it and part of it on top. Just kind of helps integrate all the pieces a little bit better. I've layered a couple of My Mind's Eye stickers here. Just gonna pop those right next to my photos on the top portion of the page. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of little stickers down here to those bottom cloud elements, just to help cluster a few more designs down there at the bottom. I used a 5 sticker because that's how old my son is in these photos, and then a little On the Go sticker from Bella Boulevard. Just kind of helps tie into the theme of the page and helps tell the story. And I did add some spray adhesive to all of my title here, and I'll speed through this as well. I'm just layering on a little bit of a colorful title right on top of the black one. I thought it needed a little bit more color going on there. And then I'm just going to sew a couple of buttons on the center of my bicycle wheels. And that is it. For more information on this week's layout, please visit twopiesinAbucket.com on August 31st, 2011 in the Design Garden under From Start to Finish videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.